The epic history of tequila began with a volatile mix of fire, sacred desert plants, and ancient bloodshed. 5 centuries ago, long before the modern geography of Mexico City surrounded these ruins, the Aztec capital was home to a drink so sacred that drinking it wrongly could cost you your life. This was pulque, a thick, milky, fermented sap harvested from the maguey plant. The Aztecs worshipped the agave as a miracle of survival and revered its sap as the literal blood of a goddess. Religious law restricted pulque to specific social classes. It was the drink of priests performing rituals, warriors preparing for battle, and the elderly during sanctioned ceremonies. For an ordinary citizen to abuse this holy substance for casual recreation was a grave offense. Punishment for a first offense included public humiliation and the demolition of one's home. Repeat offenders were frequently beaten to death. These lethal stakes existed because the Aztecs understood the sap as a dangerous channel to the divine. To their rulers, unchecked drunkenness was a direct threat to the survival of the social order. The transformation of this hyper-regulated sacred sap into a global commodity required a total collapse of the old world. In 1519, the Spanish conquest shattered the Aztec Empire. Along with war and disease, the Europeans brought new technologies, including the art of distillation. When Spanish colonists ran out of imported brandy, they applied their stills to the local agave. They roasted the plant's heart and distilled the fermented juice, creating a clear, fiery spirit they called mezcal. This shows the technical difference. Pulque is a perishable, fermented sap. Mezcal is the clear, distilled result of roasting the agave's core. Tequila occupies a specific circle within this hierarchy, a specialized form of mezcal produced only from the blue agave. The conquest took the goddess's blood and processed it through the fire of the still. This transformed the agave from a localized sacred drink into a durable colonial commodity. Scaling this production from a rural village spirit to a global industry required a specific environment and a massive investment in manual labor. The volcanic hills of Jalisco provide the rich red soil where fields of blue agave stretch for miles. In the late 1700s, the Cuervo and Souza families secured the first official commercial licenses. They modernized the region with railroads and established the first major brands, turning a peasant liquor into a formal industry. Production still relies on the jimador, a skilled laborer who harvests a plant that has been growing in these fields for up to a decade. The work is dangerous, manual labor performed with a razor-sharp blade called a coa. The jimador strips away the spiny outer leaves to extract the piña, the sugar-dense core that serves as the spirit's raw material. These cores are roasted to release their sugars, then crushed. Traditionally, this uses a tahona, a massive stone wheel pressing the juice from the fibers. This juice is then fermented and double distilled in copper pot stills to create the clear spirit. Despite centuries of industrialization, production remains tied to these ancient agricultural methods. The spirit is effectively bottlenecked by the requirement of hand-harvesting a plant that takes 10 years to mature. Even with an established industry, tequila was long dismissed as a rough peasant liquor by Mexico's elite, who preferred European brandies. Mexico's 19th century independence movements changed this. Drinking a homegrown spirit made from native plants became a deliberate, patriotic rejection of Spanish and French imports. The 1910 Mexican Revolution established tequila as the drink of the peasant armies and the mustachioed fighters who occupied the countryside. Mid-century Mexican cinema reinforced this image. Films paired tequila with the charro, the romanticized Mexican horseman, solidifying the drink as a symbol of masculinity and pride. Political revolution and cinematic mythology turned this humble agricultural byproduct into the liquid embodiment of true Mexican identity. Global events accelerated tequila's expansion. U.S. prohibition and whiskey shortages during World War II drove millions of Americans to seek out the agave spirit across the border. As the margarita cocktail gained international popularity, Mexico faced the threat of foreign imitators producing their own versions of the drink. In 1974, Mexico established a denomination of origin. It's legally forbidden to call a spirit tequila unless produced from blue agave in designated Mexican regions. This legal framework mirrors French champagne. securing Mexico's absolute sovereign control over its cultural heritage. This protection also distinguishes the high-quality 100% agave spirit from mixto, a cheaper variant cut with other sugars that is responsible for the harsh reputation of the drink's past. These laws successfully turn geography into intellectual property, ensuring that tequila remains an exclusively Mexican product. Today, tequila is a premium luxury good. Massive investments from celebrity-backed brands have pushed the value of top-tier labels into the billions. However, this massive global boom faces a strict biological constraint. The blue agave plant takes nearly a decade to mature. This timeline creates a volatile economic cycle. Because farmers cannot speed up the plant's growth, they cannot react to spikes in global demand, leading to massive fluctuations in supply and price. The Aztecs respected the patience the agave demanded. Modern global capitalism is unequipped to wait 10 years for a plant to grow, creating a permanent tension between biology and the market. Every glass contains this history: the sacred blood of a goddess, the fire of a colonial still, the soul of a revolutionary nation. To see more stories behind the world's most iconic objects, subscribe and join us for our next episode.